Even though it seems obvious, it's surprising how often the user gets forgotten in designing the user experience. We often focus on creating the web platforms we want and think are best, instead of really finding out what the user wants or needs. Internal politics of a company, such as each department wanting a space that they can control on or just off of the homepage of a site, slows down performance and hinders good design of a web asset. So how do we overcome this? When designing for the user, you need to ask the following questions. Who is the user? What are the user's wants and needs from your platform? Why is the user really coming to your website? What are the user's capabilities, web skills, and available technology? What features would make the user's experience easier and better? The answers to these questions will come out of user research, as discussed in the Marketing Research lecture in the Digital Marketing Channels Landscape course. This is even further complicated because many users may not know exactly what their wants and needs are. It is the UX designer's job to discover these through research and interpret them in the best way possible. Let's take a closer look at usability. It's about making the digital assets we build easy and intuitive to use. To paraphrase Stephen Krug, don't make your users think, they should just do. One of the most important aspects of usability involves sticking to common rules or ways of displaying or structuring things on the web. This is not the time to get creative. Some of these include links that are blue and underlined, navigation menus at the top or left of the web page, the logo in the top left-hand corner, which is linked to take the user back to the home page, search boxes placed at the top of the page using standard wording such as search or a magnifying glass icon. And you need to ensure that all website elements such as menus, logos, color, and layout are distinct, easy to find, and kept consistent throughout the site. There are also some key don'ts when it comes to building a user-friendly and usable website. These include never resizing windows or launching the site in a pop-up. Don't use entry or splash pages, which is a page that site visitors encounter first before reaching the home page. Let them get to the home page right away. Never build a site entirely in Flash. Most search engine spiders cannot effectively trawl Flash sites, and these will not work on many mobile devices. Don't distract users with things like blinking images, flashing lights, automatic sound, scrolling text, unusual fonts, things that sometimes we call Christmas trees and were very prominent in the early days of the web. Those are big don'ts these days. Next, let's look at simplicity. This is another key in successful UX. In UX projects, the simpler option is almost always the better, more user-friendly one. Even if your service or product is complex, that doesn't mean your customer-facing websites should be. It's important to remember that most customers only want the most basic information from you, such as, what is this and how does it work? According to the text, simplicity can mean several different things. First, lots of empty space. In design terms, this is referred to as negative or white space, though of course it doesn't have to be white. Dark text on a light background is easiest to read. In general, the more effectively breathing room is placed between various page elements, lines of text, and zones on the page, the easier it is for the user to grasp where everything is. You should use fewer options. When users have to make choices, there's a lot of psychology at play. There's worry about making the right choice, confusion and doubt over the options, indecision paralysis, and more. Studies have found that people faced with fewer choices generally choose more quickly and confidently and are more satisfied with their decision afterwards. Use plain language. Unless your website is aimed at a highly specialized technical field, there's usually no need to get fancy with the words you use. Clear, simple, well-structured language is the best option when creating a great UX. And finally, again, sticking to conventions. As we've said before, conventions are excellent shortcuts for keeping things simple for the users. There's no need to reinvent the wheel and try to teach your users a whole new way of navigating a website. Here is an example of a good UX. One reason for the success of this kind of a website is that the future of communication lies in visuals. According to a study done by 3M, humans process images 60,000 times faster than we process words. Therefore, we need to shift away from heavy text sites to those with a visual anchor. So in this example, the Weather Channel, there's also NBC, A&E, those are television networks here in the States, have great examples of visual heavy websites. Everything is starting to look a little more like Pinterest, really. The catalyst for the push to visual? Mobile devices. We're looking at tablets and smartphones. It's a much better user experience to scroll through pictures on a 4-inch screen than it is to scroll through lines and lines of tiny text. Again, in this example, the Weather Channel in their app has made things much more visual. We'll talk about social a little more, but here we can see that even with the weather, there's important social and shareability. Again, more on this later. Next on the list is credibility. This means how trustworthy and legitimate something looks. Obviously, this is going to be very important for the user. It plays a big role for users when they're deciding whether or not to use your website. Here are some cues that, according to the text, visitors use to determine the credibility of a website. First, there's looks. Does it look professional and beautiful? Prominent phone numbers and addresses where they are easy to locate. This assures the visitor that there are real people behind the website and that they are easy to reach. So the contact us is important. Informative and personal about us. Your customers want to see the inner workings of a company and are especially interested in learning more about the head honchos or company leadership. Consider including employee pictures and profiles to add personality to the site. Genuine testimonials. This is a great way to show potential customers what your current customers have to say about your organization. Trust is vital, and this is one way to encourage it. Again, though, genuine, not fabricated or made-up testimonials. They have to be real. Logos of industry associations and awards. If you belong to any relevant industry association or have won any awards, feature them. Not only does this go a long way towards establishing your credibility, but it will show that you're at the top of your game and a notch above the competition. Links to credible third-party references or endorsements. This is a way to assert your credibility without tooting your own horn. Fresh, up-to-date content. A news section that was updated a year ago implies that nothing has happened since, or that no one cares enough to update it. So make sure that you've got fresh content on your website, particularly in that section. And finally, and this should be obvious, but no errors. Spelling and grammar mistakes are exceptionally unprofessional, and while the large majority of readers may not pick them up, the one or two who do will question your credibility. This also extends to broken links, malfunctioning tools, and interactive elements that don't work as advertised.